Hello viewers, and welcome back to our All the Mods 6 Let's Play series, episode 15. Alright, here we are. Oh boy, making these circuits was just so much fun. I am so excited that I decided to do that. Comp. Store. Drop. 16. Well, that didn't help. Oh, wonderful. We love upgrades. Alright, so, some things need to be talked about. The reason why I am no longer using Tinker's tools. You see, a commenter of Winter Legend, a very near and dear person to me, both as a commenter and as a human, posted something on the last episode that asked, well, does this mean that you're using new tools? Does that mean that Tinker's is obsolete? Yes and no. As I described in the comment, there are some things that are different about the game that I would like to go over and just speak my opinions on. So before I get too flustered, I made ourselves some billboards over here that are going to walk me through my exact opinions. The problem with Tinker's currently is the fact that where I am hardwired into the older ways of 112, the new upgrade ability system that was implemented and the fact that you need two different kinds of slots on everything has made it to the point where it feels hard to stay ahead. Like, you want Unbreakable and you want Lucky, but then one of my favorite parts of Tinker's was being able to use two tools at the same time. Well, that's an ability now. You need dual wielding. Fun things like Auto Smelt or Silk Touch, those kinds of things are also hidden back here in the ability section, which very small, it's very hard, I guess, to get more abilities, which you can use different things here. Okay, Draconic. It gives a new ability slot. So you just got to go to the end. That's pretty nice. So broad tools start with 2, which I made a hammer. That's my fault. Small tools start with 3, which is a lot better. Modifiers can add up to 4 slots. That's pretty good. This right here is what I'm stuck on. The fact that there's only one ability slot and you can add more, but there's only a few things in the game that add them. Like, look at all the different boom, 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 all these upgrade slots. This is the ability slot. And yeah, these are the slotless ones. There are things in the game like the apple, the gilded, I believe. I don't know where that is located necessarily, but gilded trades an ability slot for upgrade slots. So long story short, the upgrade system has made it very hard. When it comes to the mod changes down here, that means that is what I'm talking about when I say something like, I wanted to build an Electrum hammer because I knew in the previous versions that Electrum was very fast. Yes, like I mentioned before, they honored that by keeping a high mining speed. But there are so many things that mine faster than this when all you need to do is enchant it with efficiency, which I will talk on further. But they changed everything. I feel like we're lacking on certain things, like the experienced was copper. It kept a very good use for copper, but all of that's different. So yeah, you can go through here and you can learn what everything else does, but there are so many new modifiers for it's almost like every single thing has its own modifier. And that's cool, but then you just sit there and think, wow, I need more spaces for more parts on this tool because I want more things. But you're limited by what's on each part, and you're limited by how many upgrades and stuff you can do. The biggest problem with the hammer that I made in the first place is the fact that this hammer took so much material to repair. And the stone shield is what kind of replaced the mending, from what I could see, is not as good as picking up experience, because the experienced would drop experience to give you mending, which is still capable only in Apotheosis. Moving forward into why I changed. Apotheosis being the first thing. Apotheosis is a mod that changes enchanting. It does a lot of cool things to the game. For example, if we go here and we search efficiency. Efficiency 5, I'm pretty sure, is the highest you can get in vanilla Minecraft. Apotheosis pushes that all the way to efficiency 9. The speed of an efficiency 9 tool is unrivaled by anything that I managed to make in a creative world in Tinker's Construct. So unfortunately, we're limited to the fact that things like this are here. This mod has been added to give us something like this, something crazy like that. And on top of that, there are so many books out there. Like, look at all these enchanted books. I know a lot of them are just repeats, but we wouldn't use all of these bookshelves and all these fancy enchanting things if it weren't for these tools. So if we go down now here to Mod Freedom, that really kind of segues perfectly. Mechanism adds these tools to replace netherite. Like, yes, they can mine netherite, like diamonds do. But the wonderful part about it is, like, I didn't need to find netherite. This is like a wonderful tool that was not hard to make. And on top of that, the repairing problem that we talked about before, that up there, that magma anvil, you can't use that on Tinker's tools. So again, we're locked behind. We can't use that cool mod. We can't use this powered diamond anvil that I really wanted to make because that does not repair the Tinker's tools. And then I'm pretty sure this Eternal Stella, something that I would love to get into this episode, does not apply to Tinker's tools because they're set aside in their own unique mod. So that mod freedom and the uniqueness is something that I really missed because things like the flux bore exist. I never used them. But we can make this thing mine a 5x5 and a 7x7 even significantly easier than this hammer because this hammer requires the upgrade slots, which this does too. But this can't be enchanted and this can. So this has efficiency 4, mine's faster than this, and mine's a bigger area. It's a no-brainer. So unfortunately, Tinker's Construct does get stepped on, but this is my final statement. It is still useful. The mod still has its uses. It is very good for certain things like this. When I made this vibranium sight charm, I needed to go mine vibranium, obviously. Well, you need an ingot for that. Okay, cool. In order to get the ingot, we needed an all-the-modium pickaxe that can mine vibranium ore. Well, the only pickaxe that I could find that mined vibranium, other than a Tinker's pickaxe, was way too expensive and something that we couldn't handle right now. So I went over to Tinker's Construct, I created this all-the-modium pickaxe, and now we have a wonderful tool for that one thing that we need in the way of the accessibility of that mod. So I'm still using it. It's very good for doubling large amounts of ore at the same time. Like I can just pipe in ore after ore and pipe out blocks of the ore instead of waiting for individual things to cook in the same amount of time. Which, I mean, machines can be upgraded. But that's where the early game kicks in. Tinker's Construct is a very powerful mod that is utilized extremely well in the early game. Like gunning for that first is something that I should have done in this series so we could have seen it a little bit more. But we're going to do that in the next series that I play, more than likely. Because it's just so easy to immediately, or not immediately, but to gain power through this mod so quickly. So I've been rambling for 9 minutes now. So the rant is over. I do appreciate the feedback. I do appreciate the comments. I do love sharing my opinion. Don't worry, Tinker's is staying there, but unfortunately, I just value the ability to have such fast tools now. Like this, all-the-modium pickaxe slows us down by 50%, but it does 117 damage, which is crazy. And on top of that, we can add levels of sharpness using Tinkers. So we could turn this into like a boss-killing menace before we get something that's doing more damage than, say, this axe or this sword, which is funny because the axe does more, but only by a slight amount. So, sorry that this went on so long, but I did want to address it, so here we are. there it is, addressed. Okay, so intro and opinion things aside, let's talk about what I want to do moving forward with the series. I was kind of just idly doing some stuff last episode, upgrading some armor, which I will show you here in a moment. We moved all of our enchantments from our obsidian armor over to some refined obsidian armor, and removed the feather falling 5 because there's something that I want to look at today. So just doing some idle things like that, I considered for a moment, why am I here? What are we doing? So this achievements tab, I would really like to complete. I did a bunch of these off camera, some of the tips and tricks, which you obviously saw a little bit of the personal shrinking device in the intro. But the personal shrinking device just lets us, you guessed it, we can shrink ourselves down to a minimum of 0.2, but we can go all the way up to, I think, 5, actually. Oh, we still going. Oh my. Camera can't even Anyway, the personal shrinking device does not only shrink us, but apparently it can make us very large as well. So let's set this back to 1. But that unlocked some compact machine walls, and now we also have this wonderful thing here that we can build a little pocket base if we want to. So definitely interested in doing that eventually, but we'll get there. No rush. So I completed some of these quests. I finished making the destruction gadget. I went in and I made a wooden exchanger and a stone wand. I already made these. We did the flux controllers a couple episodes ago. This was just to give us a book. We completed this one because we made that compact machine using the rewards from the shrinking device. Still got to do the tool belt. Still got to automate the Gaia Guardian. But I was working through these and I thought, achievements. Let's finish these. So we want to make sure that we can get to all of these other dimensions. On top of that, we're going to want to kill the Gaia Guardian 20 times, kill 5 and then 50 of each dragon. Yeah, this wants us to kill 50 of each, even though it only says fire. And then we need to kill all of the bosses in the forest. And then obviously we got to get this compressed cobblestone. In the creative tab, I looked through some of these and I looked at how ridiculous some of these crafting recipes are. So in order to make the all the mods star, we have to get into create. That's the only way we can make it. But this is the primary crafting recipe. And all of these pieces here, the Massive Wills, the Nexium Emitter, Patrick Star, Dimensional Seed, the Rune of Sins, all this wonderful stuff is listed here in this S. So we are going to have to complete all of these things in order to get there. One of these stars is used in the crafting recipe of a lot of these creative things. So like the dimensional builder requires an all the mod star. It also requires dimensional seeds, which are 4 times compressed of a bunch of random stuff. It requires block of Enderium. That's no big deal. Antimatter pellet. This is a very expensive recipe. If you don't know anything about this mod, we basically have to set up a nuclear reactor, create polonium, thousands and thousands. This is 400 million RF per tick to get one singular millibucket. And we need a whole bucket of this to make one pellet. So really, really not interested in doing that. But we're going to have to in order to get the Altamont star, which brings me to my next point. All of these things require Altamont stars, and I don't want to have to make this more than once. So, long story short, the biggest thing I want to do is complete all of these different quests in the S, and then that will walk us through a bunch of the different mods that are in here. So that should give us some longevity. And at the speed at which I've been producing these videos and how much we actually get accomplished in each video, I think we should have a fun little playthrough. Leave down in the comments for sure if you want this to be the only series that I do until we complete it, or if you guys are interested in seeing some other series that we can complete alongside this. So, over here at the board, just talk about real quick some things that we've done. I moved all of our mob items over to the platform here, and I also just got finished with dropping this whole platform down one, so now this is 3 deep instead. So we could run the cable, and then all of our mobs stuff is hooked up to a storage bus, which freed out quite a bit of our ME system. And then we also have 3 16K ME storage cells and a full 10 of 4K ME storage cells. So I've been working on that. I've got some auto crafting in air quotes heavily here. I just have the presses in each of these so I don't have to dig for them every time I want something. We created a vibranium site right here and an all-the-monium site charm, and I put Unbreaking 4 on each of those so we can get those resources later down the line a lot easier. I changed our power system. So over here we've got some wind generators, each producing 128 RF per tick, and a solar generator producing 16.7 RF per tick when it is light outside. And it is all going into heavy capacitors, or high voltage HV capacitors, into a flux plug that's putting into our battery system. So we have a whole system now dedicated simply to storing power. The downstairs water wheels and those water wheels are also going into the battery system. And then this battery system pours into the batteries that we had across the world. So we've got like 19 million RF here. And then that's inputting into our personal network. And then also we've got a storage of 3 million RF sitting over here in our personal storage. So if something happens to these batteries for some reason, we've got some extra stuff just floating around in the system itself. We upgraded our Invar jetpack, or we upgraded to the Invar jetpack and enchanted it. So now I have block reach, which means that I can mine pretty much as far away as my cursor can spot, which is quite wonderful. And I can also place that far too. So that's an interesting little thing. But the biggest thing that I would like to get into is right here. We have not necessarily started bees, but I went and collected one. So let's run over here real quick and take a peek at what we have going on with this bee. So I went and I found a spruce bee nest, and I brought along a mason bee. And what the mason bee does is it collects its pollen from clay blocks, which is interesting. And then those clay blocks... Oh, I just realized that this is outside of our claimed area. So let's just do that. This little mason bee will get his pollen from these blocks, and it's supposed to be producing mason combs, or like clay combs, but it's not. I think the communication between either this bee nest or the hive hopper is only creating regular honeycombs. But we need these honeycombs in order to make the apiaries and beehives and stuff to move further through resourceful bees. So yes, it's not a perfect system doing what it's doing right now, but it's definitely an accidental happiness, I guess. And then this is just producing liquid honey as well. So we're up to 11 buckets of that. Why do I want to get into bees all of a sudden? Well, if we go back here to what I had talked about in the beginning of the episode, we need a wither's compass to start off this S. I would kind of like to go this direction maybe, but who knows? The wither's compass requires wither honeycomb blocks. Well, wither honeycomb blocks require wither honeycombs. And those wither honeycombs require a wither bee and a beehive or an apiary. Well, where does the wither bee come from? We can breed the wither bee with the withered bee and the netherite bee. Well, where do we get the netherite bee? So, long story short, we need to get a withered bee at some point somehow, and the only way to do that is to start off in bees. So over here in resourceful bees, I started going around and I started doing a couple of these quests. So some of them require us to just have a bee, which I picked up an aquamarine bee, a zombie, and a spider bee. I think those might actually be in the system. That's not how you spell bee, in case you were wondering. Yeah, so we have the aquamarine and the spider bee here. So once we start crafting beehives, we can start collecting resources from them, but we're going to have to continue down here for quite a while in order to get the withered bee, which is right here. So yeah, I would like to get into that sooner rather than later. So the board really just kind of said bees question mark because I wanted to point that out. What do we want to do for this episode? Well, I've got a couple of things in mind. So, speaking of apotheosis, I mentioned these eternal stellas. This comes from Forbidden Arcanus, but the recipe in this mod pack is just 2 Aldemodium ingots, a stellarite, some petrified ore, and vibranium. So this is why I went out to the nether to start collecting vibranium. So if we click on this, we can actually make one of these, 2 of these, no problem. Because we have, how much vibranium left? We've got 19, 21 actually. So this should mean that we can use this to make our gear unbreakable, which is, in case you were wondering, quite awesome. So we're probably going to start off here with our armor, because where these have unbreaking on them, I don't want to go pull those enchantments off at the moment, but we are going to end up putting those on there. Some other things that we can do in the meantime is we can make our chisel unbreakable. That would be quite nice. We can make our hammer. Oh wait, no, we can't make our hammer unbreakable. But, you know, we've got some things that we can do. So, in order to use this on anything, we need a smithing table, which is just a simple Minecraft crafting recipe. So let's go in here, make ourselves a smithing table, and boom, we have that now. So where do we want to put this? Let's put it over in this corner. Bang. So, let's get our armor. Let's put it up here in our magma anvil and repair it all the way. Which I just, whenever I've got free time, I go collect some magma blocks. Oh, I don't have any currently. But I collect magma blocks in the bunch. I throw them in here, and now we've got 255 buckets of magma to repair our stuff with. So let's see if this works. It doesn't. Do we need to do it backwards? No. So if we can't use these on this gear, then what are we gonna do? Wonder if it's because it's enchanted. Oh, now it's indestructible. So I had to remove all the enchantments. Does that mean I cannot enchant these? Oh. Oh. You can pull the indestructible enchantment off. I didn't even mean to do that. So now can I make it indestructible? I can. There goes our anvil. Okay, so I got us a new anvil. And it looks like the indestructible makes it very expensive to upgrade our stuff. So we apparently can't put any of these on here anymore, which is really unfortunate. So now I question if it's even worth putting these on the rest of our gear. Clearly, this version of Minecraft that adds the Eternal Stella is not as good as I thought it was. Because, like, in YouTube series that I've seen that made me actually really want to use this thing, it was super simple. It just worked in the newer versions of Minecraft. So I wonder if it's just because of the way that it's set up in this pack. That's unfortunate. Well, that was a letdown, but hey, it's now in recording that it's not as good as I thought it was, so... What is next? I wanted to make these boots, the slipweave slippers, or the silkweave slippers. So, in order to make this, we need diamond boots. That's no big deal. And we need a cobweb. Can we craft cobwebs? Oh, hey, we can. Using honeycomb and string, which we have plenty of. So let's make those. Let's get these boots, and then while they are in our inventory... Okay, so we can right-click them to turn them off, right-click them to turn them on. We should be able to... There should be a foot section. Feet. Hey. And now we should be immune to fall damage. Nice. With falling from a far distance does give us that bleeding defect, but I mean, hey, that's no big deal. Doesn't actually do much. Our food could be refilled here, but it doesn't like drain health, so I'm a little concerned or confused by that. So what do we want to do now? To get into resourceful bees more, we need a bee smoker, a scraper, and the beepedia. So let's go ahead and make those. So what does the smoker cost? It takes a bellow, which is just some leather. We can do that, no problem. And a smoker canister, which we need a campfire. And then some iron, which is no big problem. Boom, we got ourselves a bee smoker. A scraper is just some iron and some sticks, so let's get one of those. And the beepedia is a bottle of honey. So let's get some... Oh, not honey. All of our bottles are over here, actually. So let's get a stack of those. And then I think we can just... Oh. We cannot do that. I wonder what we're going to have to do instead. We're going to need a tank that has an inventory. So let's do this. Let's put the tank on top of this. Get our pipe wrench and then just export out into this tank. And then that should resolve some of the issues. And then we'll just get rid of this tank completely, put it back in our ME system. That's no big deal. So now we can't... How do we bottle this? Gosh darn it. Fluid encapsulator. I feel like there's a better way of doing that. I can't get the buckets out of this either. Alright, well, apparently we have some figuring out with this too. Let's make ourselves, in here, fluid encapsulator. So let's get a machine frame, which requires a tin gear. Go back in here, make a machine frame. We need to make a redstone conduction coil, or flux coil. And we need 2 copper gears. So boom, 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 boom. Look at that. Let's get a flux point real quick. Bring this over here, and we'll just make bottles on site. So we'll kill this skeleton, so he leaves me alone. Get a fluid encapsulator. Hey! Let's kill this guy too, I guess. F7 to get rid of that. We'll have to light up the area around there a little bit more. Flux point. Let's put that on the back, I suppose, so we don't have to look at it all the time. Attach that to the network. Holy crikeys. Obviously, we need to light this up sooner rather than later, because I am immediately tired of this. So, go to configuration. We want to auto input from the bottom. Bottles. Hey, it's working. It's working very slowly, but it is working. So this will at least give us honey bottles. So what can we do in the meantime? Let's get a bucket, or let's get a chest. Let's get some bottles. Let's get a couple stacks of bottles. And then what we are going to do is we are going to set up input-output on the right side. Configuration, auto-eject. Set that up so it's input and output. Put blank bottles in there. And then it should, once it completes this craft, pull buckets, or pull bottles from the inside. Yep, perfect. So that is going to continuously spit out honey bottles. Nice. So beepedia, how do we craft one of those? With the honey that we just created. So let's head back over here to the system, throw all that away, and we now have the beepedia. So this is just going to show us all of the different bees. I'm pretty sure this star means that we've collected it. So if we search and go mason, this will tell us that it's producing honeycombs. In a regular bee nest, it produces 1. The centrifuge, this is how that works. So the centrifuge can actually just extract bricks. That's pretty cool. Can also just make honey if there's no glass bottles. Multi-block centrifuge required for this recipe. It will turn blocks of them into larger amounts, which from testing that I've done in creative world, this 50% chance and this 20% chance are not exclusive. They can happen at the same time, which is awesome. Spawning bees, this is the important bit, I do believe. So this is how we find them across the world. And then breeding, we can breed it into another mason bee. Item mutations, not sure how that works. Mutates into clay balls. Interesting. Okay, so I don't think it's used as a parent in any way. There's the mutation. Here's its flower, which is wonderful. I'm happy that it tells us that. So let's just go back here, clear out that screen, and call it a day. So what we are going to need is I'm going to have to go find a couple more bees. And the wither bee is this one here. So what is that going to require? That's going to require the withered and the netherite bee. So obtain having a block of gold bee mutate a netherite block. So we're going to need a gold bee, which is this one here, which is going to require a quartz bee that spawns naturally. So how about the last thing we do for this episode? Or maybe it won't be the last thing. We'll figure it out. Let's get some bee jars. Let's get our smoker. And then let's just go around and collect different bees. So if we go this way, the map should show us when there is a passive mob, like over here. That is a chicken. We don't want a chicken. Hey, I found a bee. It was right near that chicken. So what is this for a bee? I think it's another mason bee. It is. Let's bring him home and join his little mason friend. Keep flying around here. That looks like a hive. It is. It's a birch bee nest. So what is growing? I would assume those two zombies. What is this bee? That's not a zombie. It's a lumber bee. Let's take the lumber bee home. You're another... Oh, you're a creeper bee. A beeper. That's adorable. I love that name. Can I scrape this? There is 3 honey in there. This is the one thing I don't understand about this mod. How do I get... The scraper is ineffective sometimes. Like, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Does there have to be bees in it for me to collect the honey level? I have no idea. This is why I made the bee, like the hive hopper. An RGB, another lumber bee, a regular bee. There's no bee in here. Another bee nest. What's in this one? No bees, no honey, but we will take the nest. We cannot scrape it. Can we only scrape it if it's full? It's an RGB. Ooh, an icy bee. What's this one? A leafy bee. Let's take you too. A slimy bee. Oh, there's more bees over here. Let's see what we found. Another RGB. Oh, that actually produced honeycombs. Oh, RGB honeycombs. Cool. So I smoked that. I wonder if it's because it was full. Recognize this place? It's our dungeon. We accidentally went home to, like, the first home that we were in. Wow. What a throwback. The quality of this series has changed so much since we've been here. And it's just so crazy to think that we're on episode 15. Like, that's awesome. It's so exciting. I'll have to definitely highlight that in the video, but I just watched a bee kill itself. I don't know if it got eaten by these fish. No, those are just perks. Those aren't hostile. I'll see if we can see it in the video, but that thing just killed itself. The swamp is proving to be very nice for these hives. They're really easy to spot from a distance, especially from the air. So we've gotten 4 oak nests that way, which is wonderful. There's another one over there. Ooh, he jumping. And there he goes. They're so weird. I feel like they should know better than that. Oh, they're aquamarine. They're prismarine nests. Those are really cool. You can turn on a hover too. Oh. They are falling into the water. They're guardian bees. Interesting. Okay. I wonder if that was a quest. RGB. Guardian bee right there. Interesting. Okay. So that was a quest. It's a good thing we came out here to the ocean then. I don't know if I have a spider bee or not. I think I do. Ooh. I need the blizz. I think we actually want to catch that in this imprisonment tool. Come here, blizz. I also need the basils. I think that's how it's pronounced. Because the basil rods can be ground down and then used to amplify the pulverizer. Let's turn our bee. Wow, that bee is way up in the sky. This is much more effective with the hover on, in case you were wondering. Alright, so let's put this blizz away. Look at this. What a wonderful haul. We got a dark oak nest, a birch nest, and an oak bee nest, and some prismarine nests. So let's put these away. Let's put our honeycombs away. The honey bottles for sure. We'll hold on to the beepedia, and then let's just put those bees away as well. So let's head over here to this spot. Collect our bottles of honey. And then is there anything that we can do before we end the episode that seems a little bit more useful than what we've done so far? So let's get rid of these, get rid of those. Hold on to the rest of those for now. What do we want to do? So in resourceful bees, I guess all I'm going to have to do is breed our first bees. So out of the bees that we have, what do we have that will get us somewhere? We have the slimy bee, the beeper, which it doesn't look like. I think, okay, so the beeper is one of the first ones we're going to need to go down this path. Oh wait, no, because that goes the other way. So we need the mag bee, the magma bee. Gonna have to go to the nether, it seems. And we go to magma. We also need to spell correctly in order to get to where we want to go. Info, mutations, traits, honeycomb, spawning. Any spawn height. Biomes. Nether. Okay, so it looks like the Crimson Forest is one of them. So we can get it just kind of where we are. Take that cobalt bee as well, for sure. Glow bee. Glowing bee, I guess, is what it's actually called. Another cobalt bee, so let's grab him while we see him. Another glowing bee up here. Crimson iron bee. I really don't think I'm going to need those. But you never know. Sounds dangerous. Yeah, that was trapped. Trapped like crazy. Good thing I have ears. Hey, what's that? A quartz bee. Come here. That's a lava bee. Not quite what I was looking for, but... The generation in the nether is very interesting. I do like the way that it generates. It makes me happy. The problem is that I don't like the lack of bee generation, because I want the magma bee. What is this? Is this it? There's one right there. Hey, there it is. A second magma bee. We can get out of here now. So, we ran through the nether and we collected a whole bunch of bees. So we got magma bees. We got 2 lava bees, 2 quartz, 2 crimson iron, 2 glowing, and 2 cobalt. So we have... Oh, and we got 1 nest. Which we probably could have gotten more of. But, hey, what can you do? here's what we have so far. We've got Guardian, Mason, Leafy, RGB, Glowing, Lumber, Aquamarine, Magma, Zombie, Cobalt, Lava, Quartz, Crimson Iron, Slimy, Beeper, Spider, and Icy. So I think that that's going to help us get through, definitely. I'm going to do some testing in a creative world to make sure that I know how mutation works, so I can actually walk you through it next episode instead of fumbling through it together. But I do think that that is all for this episode. So if you would like to leave any sort of comment, the comment section below is a great place to do that, in case you were wondering. If you liked the video, like it. If you disliked it, give it a dislike. I don't care. It's still good for the YouTube. And on top of that, I hope you have a good morning or good night or good evening or good afternoon or what may have you. This is Say-La-Vee. Have a good one. Bye-bye.